everyone, and welcome to the very first edition of IFA Connect. Karan and Anaita, I want to know, how did this friendship happen?
Let me tell you, the first time we worked together was when Karan was our choreographer for all our college fashion shows. And of course, I was his star model.
And I really thought that fashion choreography was my final destination in life. It's very stressful. So much drama behind the scenes, you know, kind of like the whole BTS and getting ready. 30 kilos, I cannot explain to you. It was very heavy. The next day, I literally thought I would need physio to get over what had happened.
When we were doing Ae Dil Hai Mushkil and I was styling Ranbir, I was like, he's a struggling musician. Karan, we can afford to buy some cheap clothes. He's like, come, let's go to D Square. Come, let's go here. And I'm like, no, he can't even afford a meal.
Because it's my movie.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the very first edition of IFA Connect. Woo! Let's give them a round of applause. Connect isn't about speeches or interviews, it's about conversations. And what better way to begin than with two people who haven't just witnessed the relationship between fashion and cinema evolve, but have helped shape it. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Hello,
Thank you.
hello. Okay, Karan and Anaita, I want to know, how did this friendship happen? Like, was it in a fashion scene? Was it something related to fashion? Let's get to know that first.
Oh my God, Anaita and I, now let me do the math. It is literally 39 years.
Wow.
39 years since I've known Anaita. I was in St. Xavier's College for all of 5 days.
Okay.
And in the 5 days I walked in and I was told that the hottest girl, first year junior college, was Anaita Shroff. Was Anaita Shroff from Bombay International School, and the hottest boy from Cathedral was Homi Adajania.
Let's go.
And guess who you were interested in?
Well, we'll save that for another Connex. But I went down to the quadrangle to check out these two supposed hotties, and then I heard a little later, because I left Xavier's, that they were together, and then we got to know each other through common friends, and we've known each other like 39 years,
You all
literally.
have worked together
Yes.
a lot.
Let me tell you, the first time we worked together was when Karan was our choreographer for all our college fashion shows. And of course, I was his star model.
Yes, she was the star model.
Yeah, and he was a very
And I
strict
really thought that
choreographer.
fashion choreography was my final destination in life.
This friendship is for decades now.
Yeah.
Yeah, decades, and of course, I got to witness Karan trying to drive a car, which is definitely the most terrifying experience in my life. Never.
No,
It should
it
never
was-
happen.
yeah.
Remain friends, which in this industry is hard to say.
Yeah. And was he always like fashionable? Always? No.
He wasn't always fashionable, but he was always a performer.
I love
He
that.
would do regular dance routines for us and tell us lovely stories
I did
about
not
the film
realize
industry.
this was going to be this embarrassing. I think we came here for a topic, right?
Okay, let's
When
take
did
it.
this become about my formative years?
I mean, I know Anaita. I think when I did my first shoot, and it was for Vogue, and she put me in an outfit, and I didn't like the outfit, and I was like in my really early teens, and I walked out of the changing room, and I was like, I don't like it. And she was like, what? I said, I want to change my outfit. And she was like, calm down. You have no say right now. You just have to trust me on it. And I was like, I like her outfit. I still remember the other model.
I think she was polite, because what Anaita would have said is, no one has asked you for your opinion.
And you know what she said? Actually, after that, she was just like, if you don't like what you're wearing, then you got to change and go to the room. And I was like, no, I'll wear it. Yeah. And then eventually when I saw the editorial came out, and I was like, I started understanding fashion then. And look where we are today, sitting together and chatting fashion. So coming back to the Met Gala, the biggest fashion event that recently happened. You've been styling Isha Ambani for years now, and
Natasha Poonawalla.
And Natasha Poonawalla, yes. I said Isha Ambani because her outfit was a rave, a talk of the town, and it was stunning. And I just want you to elaborate, like, what happens behind the scenes?
So I think for everyone that may not know this, the Met Gala every year has a theme. And as a stylist, it's a very exciting thing for us.
Correct.
Because the theme is pretty vast and it can be interpreted in many different ways. This time the theme was fashion is art. So I think with both the people that I work with, and especially since you're talking about Isha's look this time, it's a very collaborative process. We bounce ideas off each other. We talk about which designer we're going to work with. And I think it's a very big deal because, these are not just the people who have been promoting art globally and fashion globally, but by making a statement on the Met Gala carpet, it's literally going from the visual to inspirational and finally affecting an entire ecosystem, which is the fashion industry. But yeah, it's fun.
And I remember how I was saying, like, my mom's. So I mean, accessories as well in fashion. I feel back in the day, it was not so much of accessory while I was growing up. And now you realize that it's all recycled stuff. Like, fashion is also coming back. And then I remember watching her on screen while I was eating a mango, while she was holding a mango bag. And I was like, what's happening? So what's the story behind that?
Well, actually, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
20 years ago or so, I was shooting Subodh Gupta for a magazine cover in his studio in Delhi, outside Delhi. And there was this like jali cupboard or a pinjra. And I saw mangoes in it. And I said, how sweet, Subodh. Every week, you bring in these mangoes and they ripen. So he said, pick one up. And when I picked it up, I realized the weight of the brass. And I guess that mango has been living in my brain since this year when I thought, okay, we're doing a beautiful sari, we're working with the most incredible artisans, because that's what we have, right? We have our textiles, we have art, we have storytelling. So in part of that storytelling, I was like, I think this mango should be her bag. And that's how it happened.
I loved it. Karan, tell me your experience. How was your experience being at the Met?
It was actually really, I didn't realize how much fun it would be. Of course, the whole process before you get onto the carpet it's very stressful. Like, I didn't know, like, there was so much drama behind the scenes, kind of like the whole, like, BTS and getting ready, collaborations, making sure that everything goes well. And I just knew that at my Met debut, I would have to have Manish Malhotra make my garment. Manish and I have been, we've been closely associated in film and fashion for like over 3 decades. And I felt like he's not just a huge force of fashion, but also my best friend. Eka, my stylist, who I worked very closely with, is also a dear friend. We got the news that I was invited to the Met when I was in Jaisalmer shooting for a show called The Traitors. And on the same day, I got news that I was going to meet Meryl Streep and interview her. So it was like 2 massive items on my bucket list that got ticked on the same day. And we were squealing and screaming like teenagers when I got the news. And I was like, Met Gala, Meryl Streep, I can die, go to heaven. It's all done. It's all done. Then the stress began. And I was like, I've always been a massive admirer and follower of Raja Ravi Verma's work. And so that was the only input I had, was the suggestion of Raja Ravi Verma. The rest is all Manish Malhotra's brainchild and beautifully assisted and collaborated with Eka. And I just showed up wearing it.
And Karan was a star. And the night before that, he was like, the cape, I think I'm going to take it off. And then I realized he just had it on and he flaunted it and he
And you looked amazing.
owned it.
It
He
was
looked absolutely fabulous.
It was 30 kilos. I cannot explain to you. It was very heavy. And the next day, I literally thought I would need physio to get over what had happened. Like, it was.
Fashion is painful.
Fashion can be, but it was
painful.
all. It was such. But it was just, I was telling Anaita the very next day, I didn't realize how much fun I would have. I think, when you're in a room full of beautiful achievers and everyone is just in such a great mood, you just land up having a great time. It's like, it was just so much fun.
And not only actors and designers, but I feel we're living in an age where it's like content creators, influencers, all of them being around. And, I feel they set fashion trends overnight. What's your take on that?
Look, I have a very, I'm not somebody who should, actually, I've not practiced what I'm going to preach because I did not learn film. I didn't study film.
Correct.
I was an assistant on a set and I became a filmmaker. I got lucky. I'm destiny's child and things went in my favor, but they easily couldn't have. It was not about privilege or access at that time. It was really about your inherent talent and it was able to translate, and maybe I just got very lucky. I always look back and say, I did get lucky. Luck was a big part of my journey. But today I always believe, like for any art form, be it filmmaking or fashion, you've got to study it. I think you've got to study it. You have to understand fabric. You have to understand tailoring. You have to understand stitch and fit. And you have to understand, and I feel like you just can't walk in, become an intern or an AD and become a stylist or a designer. You've got to study the craft. You've got to, fashion is one of the highest forms of art. It's a $1 billion industry in the world, and it's about time the world wakes up to the fact that it's a huge part of the arts. And I'm so glad that this year the theme was fashion art and you know, costume art, and it is so amazing. So to answer your question, I believe if you are a content creator that is creating content in the world of fashion, you have to have studied it, have really researched it, truly understood it, and then put yourself out. You cannot become a fashion critic when you yourself don't know the ABC of fashion and styling and are not understanding what garments are, what texture is, what textiles are.
And also, I think there's something called self-learning. You know, you can spend that time observing and being, you know, good at what you do. I feel there's a lot of a hurry to do everything. You're a stylist in 1 week of interning with someone. You know, you're a...
The immediate validation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I feel like we need to take a step back and just see what are we doing right now? Like, what part of ourselves are we presenting to the world as proud Indians?
Yeah. So for generations also, we've not only watched films, but we've worn them. From Pooh, Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gham, to Rocky and Rani, cinema has shaped aspiration and style. I mean, now when I look at the Y2K fashion that's come back, it's all Pooh. She was the OG Y2K babe, you know, with the belly chain and the pink skirt and the print on print and everything like that. Did you at any point think that you're creating fashion culture? Yeah.
You know, there are so many anecdotes and stories about some of those which have now become like pop culture moments in fashion, and it's in, man, trust me, none of us at that time, not me or Manish, envisaged or kind of, you know, could have actually believed that we'd be talking about what Pooh wore in 2026 when that film released 25 years ago. Today, this year's the 25th year of K3G. And, and I remember all we wanted was to create like this hyperactive fashion girly, and like she was like the OG Gen Z girl. Like, you know, before Gen Z was Gen Z, she was Gen Z. I mean, she was saying things like PHAD and never buy things at sales, and like and I was just having fun. I remember Shah Rukh telling me, and he said it to me, he said, "Tu janta hai ki sirf tu has raha hai." In lines mein, only you are finding this funny and Kareena is finding this funny. Not a third person is finding this funny. So I was like, I love it. I hope people get it. And today it's quoted like what she's, in fact, what she wore was just stuff that I enjoyed fashion-wise and what Manish enjoyed fashion-wise. And it was, I remember we went and shopped for it out of the car. We went to Milan and shopped, and we went to London and shopped. And, you know, we didn't know any of these moments would actually live on and stick on. I still remember staring at that polo sport t-shirt that Shah Rukh wore, Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. It was a cycling t-shirt. It was at a cycling store. It was not even at a regular, like an athleisure store. And it was 75 pounds. And we contemplated for over an hour whether we should buy it or not, because it was so expensive. And we were like, let's sleep over it. And the next day we went back, stared at it some more, and then went and made the big decision to buy it.
And it is one of the best looks.
And now like that polo sport t-shirt is like literally everywhere. I mean, so there are so many moments, and like Anaita and I work together so closely, and I think both her and I have seen the evolution of filmy, loud fashion to wearable fashion to then setting trend fashion.
And also stylists. Like back in the day, I feel stylists were not that important, just to put it there, you know. But right now, what do you think? Like having a stylist, is it a fad? Is it a trend that's happening? Because I see you also styling a lot of weddings, and like everyone wants a stylist. So I want to understand what, from your perspective, do you think it's a trend that's happening?
I mean, to answer your question, yes, I think it is a bit of a trend. I think a lot of people who call themselves stylists aren't qualified to do so.
I was coming to
They're
that.
just dressers. And also, personally, for me, I have a problem with the term celebrity stylist, because I'm like, I'll even style this award if I have to. Why do I have to only style celebrities? I'll style the plant. So just, if you're a stylist, you style. That's what you do. The doctor doesn't say, I'm a celebrity doctor, because he has celebrity clients. So it's just really lame. So yeah, I think sometimes people are attracted to this job for the wrong reasons. And I guess you can tell the good
ones. It's become a very lucrative job now. I mean, I know I'm paying the bills. Like every time like we do like promotions and events, and I'm like, oh my God, like hair, makeup, styling, That's the aspiration. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of money there, and it's great. I think more power. Look, as somebody who's advocated and endorsed and believed in fashion from day one, to me, to see the evolution of stylists, to see the evolution of so much concentration on hair and makeup and style and fashion is immense. Today, it's become a bona fide part of the business. It's not, I remember when Manish, and he'll tell you this, when Manish began, I remember it was a job like you were called like, oh, you're a tailor. Like literally you're a tailor. And that was, and not to say that one should undermine what a tailor does. It's amazing what tailors and artisans do. But that, it was almost looked down upon, like fashion designers or costume designers were not given that time, that space, that place. You know, then it's evolved. Today, like to get like Anaita Shroff to style, to get Manish Malhotra to design, these are huge names on your cred list. Like, you know, and it's not, and it's an achievement to them because they're pioneers, right? If they weren't great at what they did, they would not have taken this particular profession and give it the stature that it rightfully deserves. Filmmakers and actors have always enjoyed glory, but today, fashion designers across the world, today look at Anaita styling the Met. Manish Malhotra was at the Met red carpet, you know, that what a mammoth achievement. The world has seen their garments and clothes and their styling.
On these beautiful people.
Oh, yeah.
Some of us have just turned 54, don't remind us.
Don't look at them. But yeah, like you said about, you have to have the background in if you want to be a stylist, you need to study it, you need to do your homework for
I think you need to put in the time.
Put in the time, the effort.
Put in the time. You need to be observant by nature. Stop staring down. Look at the world.
Correct.
You know, yeah.
And coming back to like weddings, which is very big right now. Like everyone, I know my friends got married and they were like, oh, she has this stylist. I'm getting her. She's bigger than her. It's become one of those competitive things. And it's always like, you know, in this movie, which comes to you, this movie, this setup, I want that. So it moves hand in hand. So again, it is a very competitive field, even though it's coming with.
But I've enjoyed hosting those weddings, and the reason I enjoy it because they pay really well. And there's no other answer I have to give. So Wizcraft, please listen up.
You're crying with
I
happy
cannot
tears.
say I'm part of the emotional journey because I'm at the end of it. Like I'm standing there and seeing them in those beautiful garments, and then even if they're not beautiful, you have to say they are because, you know, you've been paid. And I love it. I love, because weddings are so part of my, like, it's so sad that I'm single and never going to get married, but like, it's an irony because I really am the wedding person. Like, I love weddings. I love everything about weddings.
Listen, you're making me cry now. Stop.
Why? Are you getting married?
I hope so.
All right, okay.
I'll call
Then
you all
Anaita
after.
will cry. She's the crier. I'll just come host it.
After all these years, Karan, and all these iconic fashion moments, how much of a filmmaker's storytelling or a person's identity today is shaped by the stylist sitting behind them or besides them?
Look, character dressing, stylists, when you talk about costume design, I presume, because styling is about the moment and, you know, about the event, etc. Costume designing is such a large part of the character, and with the evolution of cinema, it's become so much more real. Like the characters have become real, and that's really upsetting to me. Because I used to love the theatrical nature of our films and the over-the-top fashion. I used to love that even if you're in a Bombay city in the film Mumbai, you're still wearing polo necks or large jackets, and I used to love all that drama. Now, like, they're like, oh, it's real, this character has a job and this is that. I'm like, what is real, yaar? It's so annoying. Like, I can't bear this realism, and it really upsets me because I don't like real. I like hyper real. I like drama. I like over-the-top fashion. I love that. What is real now? How can you be real? It's so...
You know, when we were doing Ae Dil Hai Mushkil and I was styling Ranbir, I was like, he's a struggling musician. Karan, we can afford to buy some cheap clothes. He's like, come, let's go to D Square. Come, let's go here. And I'm like, no, he can't even afford a meal. But
No, I was not buying all this struggling musician and all. I'm like, clothes. I remember Shabana ji telling me, she was in Rocky Aur Rani Ki Prem Kahani, and she said, can you explain, I'm in a kitchen cooking fish, why I have blow-dried hair and this sari? Why can't I put my hair up? Why? I said, because it's my movie. I'm like, even if you are at a funeral, your hair will be blow dry. You go cry in the corner, but you put your lipstick and blow dry your hair. I'm sorry. I do not understand no makeup real cinema nonsense. You are looking good, you're being archived for posterity, the camera staring at you. Die looking pretty, attend looking pretty. That is my mantra. Even hospital scenes and all, when the makeup come and say, under eye dalo, this person ko cancer hai, and all, I'm like, no. Like, just calm down. Like, listen, eventually we have to make everything look nice.
Oh, give me a second. I need to catch my breath.
No, I never said I was making real films or real cinema. There are many brilliant people who have.
Yeah.
You know, and I produced those movies. You know, but doesn't mean I want to direct them. Yeah, I did when I made the short films because I wanted to win awards and all. Because those are rare in my
Those were
career.
very realistic for you.
Yeah, very real, very real. I have many funny stories I don't want to say. But I wanted I'm coming with Dibakar, Zoya and Anurag. I want the critics to like me. So go real. I sent the stylist, I said, go and do proper research. Whatever I don't like, put in the film. Because that's when I'll get all the points.
India's fashion feels like it's entering a new era right now. What is that one thing that still needs to happen in India for India to truly lead in the world of fashion?
I think to start with,
Yeah.
we've stopped looking necessarily at the West for validation as far as our design is concerned. I think that's a huge step. We're very proud. We're very rooted in our own history, our own culture. Brilliant.
They are copying our prints and
Yeah.
wearing our Kolhapuri chappals.
Correct.
I mean, there's
Correct.
something called a Prada Kolhapuri chappal that's appalling. Give us credit, man. Kolhapuri is
Yeah.
from the roots of our country.
Yeah.
Bandhani is from the texture
Yeah.
of our nation. Give us that credit. They're putting those skirts and it's called
Yeah.
ethnic chic. No,
Yeah.
it's Indian texture,
Yeah.
Indian textile. And I think we're already making such a huge mark. Look at our designers. They're
No,
doing incredibly
absolutely.
well.
Yeah.
And so much of our
and to
work.
add to that, I think the main this difference is between appreciation and appropriation.
Right.
That's
Well said.
that's what we need to differentiate between.
Where people doing PR stunts and calling everyone's always been photographed, blah, blah, blah. Do you think we are lacking originality and just it's like a facade just to put on, like you said, not the real them, they just dress up just to be seen? And what is your take on that?
I suffer from insta nausea sometimes, where you're doom scrolling and it's literally that. It's doom scrolling. You're like, why is this person wearing this at this place? Like, there are so many questions in the inner recesses of your mind that happen. But at the end of the day, if someone is photographing them or someone is paid to, be photographed and someone is leveraging that and making a career out of it, more power to them. I think full marks on being enterprising at
Very
least.
entertaining.
And
I think it's a performance art.
Yeah.
Performance.
It's a performance
So I think
art.
if you are managed to make a brand out of nothingness, it's a big achievement.
All right. And did you enjoy our conversation, guys? Thank you, Anaida. Thank you, Karan. It was an absolute pleasure. I had a blast and I'm crying because you made me laugh a lot.
No worries.
I love that. Thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for
Erica.
joining us.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank Andre and Sabas and Viraf and congratulate them on their first Connex. Connex, what a great idea. And we look forward to many more conversations such as these.